Welcome to Decide Your Destiny. I'm your host, Josh Jacobs, and I'm really excited for today's episode. Our guest today is one of the most consistent, hardworking leaders that I've ever seen. He's spoken on stages in what seems like every country, has amassed a huge net worth at 30 years old, and has proved time and time again that he is truly a momentum creator. Please welcome best-selling author and one of the most motivational people on the planet, Alex Morton. Thank you so much for being here today, man. I really, really appreciate it.
Amazing. Super pumped up to be here as well. Let's go.
Thank you, man. Before we even start, I just got to say that your email newsletters are absolutely incredible. Honestly, jam-packed with value. Before we get to the end, I want to plug this because if you are not on this man's email list, I'm telling you, I've never seen emails as detailed with as many actionable steps that come in this guy's email newsletter. So thank you for what you do, man. Those are amazing.
Amazing. I'm glad they're helping, man. Awesome.
So let's get into it. I just want to, start off with your backstory. Tell us where you grew up. What was life like as a child?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town in Columbus, Ohio. So I was born in Houston, Texas, grew up in Columbus, Ohio. And life as a little kid, from what I remember, was pretty enjoyable. I was blessed. I am blessed with great parents. I got a little sister. So I had a normal family upbringing. I don't have any crazy, my mom was a crack addict or my dad went to jail or I grew up on the streets. It was pretty normal childhood. But one of the things for me that I think really gave me the proper guidance early on was my parents are both entrepreneurs. So I saw them build an insurance empire, and I was a little kid. So I would see my dad leave the house at 7 a.m, come home at 7 p.m. Sometimes he came home at 10 p.m. And my mom would drop my sister and I off at school, and then she would go to the office, and she had a desk in his office. So I saw mom and dad work tremendously hard. Both were from humble beginnings, not rich parents, and they went through a lot of trials and tribulations. They suffered a $36 million bankruptcy in Houston, Texas, when the housing market crashed, and they built it all back up. So as a little kid, I saw work ethic, I saw leadership, I saw happy mom and dad, good decision making. But as a little kid, I also saw super rich people, I saw super poor people, and we were kind of in the middle. So as a little kid, you're going to school. Some people get dropped off in Range Rovers. Some kids are getting dropped off in Mercedes Benzes. My dad drove a '98 Ford Expedition. My mom had an Aurora. I don't even know if they make those anymore. But the point is that as a little kid, I saw what I wanted, where I wanted to go. I said, you know what? One day I'm going to find out what rich people do, and I'm going to do what they do, and I'm going to make money, and then I'm going to make an impact as well. So pretty normal childhood. Nothing too crazy, but definitely grateful to have been given, a positive environment as a little kid to grow up in.
So on that positive environment, I've heard you say in an interview before that you grew up with a lot of personal development in the house. Did that go along with the business? And have you had this, winning mindset from that young age?
Yeah, I think it was just an expectation. People ask me all the time, hey, how does it feel? What's it feel like to be 30 and have made the money you've made and traveled and all these things? And to me, it's not really an egotistical thing, but it was so expected. Like if I wasn't here right now where I am, it'd be a problem. It'd be an issue because there was just such a high level expectation. And I think a lot of that came from my mom because as a little kid, they came from my mom's side, escaped the Armenian genocide. Her parents, my grandma and grandpa came here with a suitcase of clothes and $5 to New York City. They sewed buttons on people's suits for like $1 a button. Right. So I was always given that kind of Gary Vee talks about. I was given like the immigrant pep talk, like your family came here with nothing. They started with nothing. They sent 5 kids to college. Now you're here. You're the first grandson and you got to make it happen. You got to carry the legacy. You got to make this family proud. So I was given a lot of that as like a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 13-year-old, 16-year-old kid. And it was fortunate because I remember in, I think 4th grade, my dad gave me Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Let's see. In
Wow.
high school, we played Cash Flow Quadrant, the Robert Kiyosaki board game. My mom worked for a short period of time for Tony Robbins. So I was given some of this personal development, dream big, attitude. You can do whatever you want. Don't let the teachers tell you that you need to go work in construction or based on your grades. It was really, hey, if you can dream it and you work for it, you can do it. So there was some personal development, like the Anthony Robbins personal power tapes. I remember seeing them like in the VHS when I was a little kid. So yeah, I was around some of this information at a young age, and it caused me to be like, oh, okay, so if I want to go drive that, I can drive that. If I want to live in that house, I can live in that house. If I want to, go make $1 million at 24, I can do it, right? So that the whole dream it and do it, it was definitely in the house for my sister and I, for sure.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It's amazing if you can grow up like that. So
very fortunate.
Yeah. So with that said, when was the transition? Like, when was your first experience with entrepreneurship? Was it when you were a kid? Was it when you were in school? How did that work?
Yeah, I think the first, I mean, when I was a little kid, I mean, I was knocking on people's doors to mow their lawns and get money, rake, hey, I'll rake your leaves, right? I'll rake your leaves for $5 or $10. When it snowed in Ohio, I was shoveling driveways with my friends for, $20. I mean, this is reality. This is like what was happening in high school. I decided to launch a cookie business. Legitimately, we would bake cookies in the kitchen. David and I, one of my best friends growing up, we literally baked cookies and we sold them in little baggies in high school. So I always wanted to do business, sales, make my own money. I was the kid in the class. I was kind of a troublemaker. I would raise my hand and always ask, hey, how is this going to help me make money one day? I remember senior math class. I'm 16. I'm in algebra 3, which is like the slow math already. And I'm like, yo, what, give me a profession. I'm going to use MX. I think it was MX plus B, Y equals MX plus B. And I'm thinking, what does this have to do with anything, right? So as a young kid, I knew it was going to be sales. It was going to be owning my own business. I had no idea what industry it was going to be, but I always knew I was different than the other kids that were excited about becoming a doctor or an engineer or going to this university. And nothing's wrong with that, but I was always just a little bit, I guess, different than everybody else in the classroom.
Gotcha. Okay. So when did, you've had this mindset, you knew you were going to win. When did you start in network marketing? Would you say that was your first real success, or did you have any other successes before starting in network marketing?
Yeah, I got into residential real estate at 18 because of the show $1 Million Listing. My mom was like, hey, you should watch this show. These guys look like you, and you can make some money doing real estate. So I got into real estate at 18. I wouldn't say that was massively successful in it. It paid my like quote bills I had in college, basically covered my alcohol for the weekends and stuff like that, covered my spring break or whatever, but it wasn't like crazy money. It was it was network marketing, relationship marketing. At 21, I went to my first meeting and I actually said no for several weeks. I didn't want to do it. I thought it was one of those things, a scam. And then the more I looked into it, the more I realized, wow, this is a great moral form of compensation. I create my own destiny. Educational background doesn't matter. Skin color doesn't matter here. If I learn this, I can do it. And then what happened was I saw a young guy who was my age-ish. He was 25 years old, making a substantial amount of money. At least back then, it was a substantial amount of money. And I basically had the mentality of, hey, if he could do it, I could do it. I got started, and then the whole journey began, and it will be 10 years, actually, next February. This upcoming February will be my 10-year anniversary, I guess you could say, in this space.
Wow. Okay. So give a little context as to what type of success you had, early on, and not that it's not early on still, but, in college. And I'm interested in hearing the story about, getting kicked out of campus and things like that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I went to school at Arizona State at 18, right? And I left a small little cold town in Ohio. I went to Arizona State. The women in the West Coast look different than the women in Ohio. It is what it is, right? So I'm there. I'm 18. Like my eyes are just popping out of my head, seeing all these girls and stuff. There's pool parties going on. There's nice condos. Everybody's partying and stuff. So I basically lost my mind my first year in school. So it got to the point where I put it in my first book, Dorm Room to Millionaire. I got kicked out of the dorms. One morning I wake up to like banging on my door, and it's two Tempe police officers, and they come in like, not their guns out and stuff, but they're like, they came in and they were furious, and they're like, you have 24 hours to vacate the premise or we're going to arrest you for trespassing. So I'm like, okay, this is great. So it's gotten to the point where not only the school wants to suspend me next semester, the Tempe Police Department are actually physically in my room right now. So I got kicked out of the dorms. Business school didn't go too well. I remember I got a couple D's on some exams in macroeconomics, and then the professor basically politely said, hey, you need to just drop out of the business school because we're not going to admit you for the next semester. So, yeah, I was getting into trouble. I was having fun, though. I was having a lot of fun.
Were you having this success during this period, or did
No.
Okay.
This is where I'm like not having success at all. So this is when I'm like I'm hustling real estate, right? So I create a fake real estate company. Alex Morton Realty never existed, but I created it, and I printed T-shirts and I made postcards, and I would flyer them around the campus illegally because you can't do that on campuses. And I was slinging resident. I was basically going to school, figuring out ways to get C's in my classes and a couple B's, right? And then at night I was partying and drinking and having fun. And then within like 2 to 3 hours in the afternoon, I would go show people residential apartments and condos in Scottsdale. So that was all going on. Grades weren't going well. I was making a little money in real estate, get kicked out of the dorms, right? And then I was just looking for something. I remember one night in the dorm room, I was legitimately usually I don't get this deep into the story, but since you're asking for it, here it is. I was going to buy a snow cone ice maker machine truck. And I had this idea. I actually made a business. This is how nuts I am. I'm still nuts, right? And I was going to call it Sun Devil Shaved Ice. And I was going to have, my girlfriends or whatever wearing bikinis on campus selling shaved ice snow cones because it's 110 degrees outside. I thought it was a great idea. And then I guess I couldn't get the permits. The school was like, you can't do that. And then the next business idea, ready for this? Because it's Arizona State Sun Devils, right? I had sexy Sun Devil cleaning service. I made another business plan. I was going to actually have an interview in my condo. I was going to have all these girls show up, and I was going to say, you're going to go clean people's homes in I can't make this stuff up, in lingerie. And then that one got thrown out because my dad actually said, well, what happens if one of these girls gets like sexually assaulted? You're going to get sued. It's a terrible idea. And then I was like, okay, we're going to can that as well. So I was going through this. I was basically at a point where I was like, I got to find something where I can own my own business, set my own time, make my own money. I didn't want to graduate. I wanted to graduate, and I did graduate, but I didn't want to have to get an internship. I remember junior year was a pivotal moment, and I got started in network marketing. And I had to make a decision. I was like, do I work my business this summer, or do I go get an internship like all of my friends, like every one of them, even the leaders in my company, they got internships that summer. And I was like, nah, I'm going to go build this thing. Right. So it was a lot of like frustration, anxiety, trying to start businesses, trying to figure out what was going on, trying to do real estate. And then when I got into that industry, I really sunk my teeth into it. And I said, this is where I'm going to become a multimillionaire, and I'm going to help a lot of people. And once I made that decision on that, that was it. Like, you couldn't tell me anything. In my mind, I was a millionaire. In my mind, I was breaking the compensation plan in half. I don't care what family member, what friend said what to me. It did not matter. I was going to the top, and that was it.
So from that point, when you made that decision that no matter what was happening, you were going to the top, how long did it take you to make your first $1 million?
I made my first $1 million in commissions. It took 2.5 years collectively.
2.5 years. So you go from having all different types of business ideas, getting kicked off of campus, to making a decision, and in 2.5 years made $1 million, which obviously in most businesses, most jobs, that is never possible. So First of all, that's unbelievable. And obviously you went to an insane high, right? You're in your 20s, you made $1 million. I know that, you know, all of us go through failures and setbacks and things like that. And I'm really curious of a few things. I'd love to hear your input on overcoming failure and overcoming setbacks, and three things specifically. One, how it affects your mindset going from a high to a low. I'm curious about what lessons you learned from them,
Yeah.
and then how you pull yourself out of it. So let's start with just, how does it affect your mindset going from a high to a low?
Yeah, so what happened was it was kind of crazy because there was no really young people in the company and really in the industry. There was not really like a person that was super loud and, hey, I'm young and I'm killing it and you can do it too. So I kind of became the voice of our generation in terms of this industry because I was 21, 22. Now it's like insane. Like in our current company, there are so many people that have done so many bigger, crazy feats and accomplishments than I did. But because it was 2011, 2012, I was like the first young person to be like, okay, here we go. So I went from, this broke kid in college to the top of this company. When you become successful, there's like this, I don't know, I don't want to call it like a fake celebrity, but sometimes in industries you become like this larger than life creation. So my ego was getting bigger because, when you travel around the world and everybody tells you how great you are and you're a 22-year-old kid, you're like, okay, I guess I'm really great. I guess I'm the greatest thing since, sliced bread. And that was me. Everybody was backing me and we were doing these videos and there was a car program and we did a deal with the Phoenix Suns. So like I have a billboard at the Phoenix Suns arena in my basically town I'm going to college at. So everyone goes to a Suns game. Here I am with like these 5 other people, like a 50-foot billboard on the side of an NBA arena, right? Magazines. So basically all this stuff, I'm on top of the world. That first company I made almost $2 million. And then some things went south and I made a decision to depart from that. And then from that point, it was the whole like colossal, backwards backpedaling, right? So I made some money, but I didn't save much money. And I spent, a lot of it partying, having fun, buying stuff. I just didn't have any business buying. I saved a little bit of money, but not really. And then all of a sudden I'm in this like deep, dark hole of, everybody turns their back on me. They're like, hey, he's a one-hit wonder. He's never going to do it again. They use the word lucky. Oh, he was just lucky because he was a sharp-looking kid and the company started to promote him. And that's why he was successful. People love to shoot successful people because they want to make themselves feel better for, not accomplishing anything in their life, right? So that was me. And I go from all of that, right, to living in a little condo back in Arizona, with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and my savings account is virtually gone. Like I don't even know what it fell down to. I think I gave up the car I was driving. I gave it back or whatever. And now I'm sitting in a place where my expenses are more than my income, which is not a good place to be in. I'm feeling pressure from family, pressure from friends, all the haters, right? The haters are having a field day with this because we were so public to where when the company actually when it got temporarily shut down, I mean, it was on the Today Show, like the Today Show, the Rolling Stone magazine, the national publication. I actually brag about it because I think it's cool today, obviously, but back then, they wrote this big article on our company, and I was like the focal point of it. Was just super bad. So to answer your question, yeah, I was in a place where it was not fun anymore. And I was battling anxiety. I'm not going to say I was depressed, but I put on 25 pounds of fat. So I'm like fat, out of shape, unhealthy, money's going to hell. Like I get on Twitter, like some people were tweeting. I mean, it got pretty serious. I mean, I don't talk about this a lot, but I'm getting tweets that, hey, I hope you die in a car crash. I mean, legitimately, I'm getting like these types of messages like, okay, that's really nice to hear.
What does that do to you? Like, it's public, and how does that make? I know you said it gives you anxiety. Like, did you ever start doubting yourself? Did you know you were going to come back?
There was levels of uncertainty, but every time I always told myself, you know what? I built this empire from nothing, and I know I can do it again. I was always very confident in myself. Like even when I was a little kid, I was always like senior year of high school, we write down what college we're going to and what we're majoring in. And this is a true story. And in front of the entire high school, my name pops up, right? And they go, Alex Morton, Arizona State University, majoring in, I literally write this in, she reads it, becoming a millionaire at 25, by 25. So I was actually speaking this into existence from a little kid. But yeah, it really messes you up, man. Like I remember crying, like just crying. Like my ex-girlfriend would go to like real estate school and I would like sit there on the couch and like I would just like start crying, like freaking out. But every time, but those moments built me into the person I am today because I learned some valuable lessons. So I learned back then, you know, late 2015, 2016, I'm like, listen, the next time, no ego. The next time, you're not talking about your income publicly. The next time, you're making it about everybody else except yourself. The next time, you're gonna do a better job of helping create other, quote, rock stars in the team, so it's not all predicated on you, right? So I learned a ton of valuable lessons, and now that's why. And then boom, right? 2016, I get into my current company, and now it's been the biggest blessing of my career on every level, right? I met the girl I'm gonna marry. Everybody's healthy and happy. Bought my mom a car, bought my little sister a car. Money's not an issue. I get to travel all over the planet. So now I'm like up here again, but I'm up here with the right mentality of you got to pay your dues every day. No ego, all humility, gratitude. I feel like my relationship with God got a whole lot deeper in the last 4 years for sure. I now understand like the whole idea of God's grace on somebody's life because it's unexplainable really what's transpired. So all of those things made a difference. But I remember 2015 in Arizona, crying my eyes out, fat, no money, freaking out, right? But they, like Les Brown says, if you can look up, you can get up. And you're not supposed to be motivated by, quote, haters, but it is what it is. I was super motivated by, all these people telling me all this mean stuff, I'm going to shove it straight down their throat. And I'm going to shove it so far down their throat, their grandkids are going to taste this thing. And that's just me being me. Like, I'm just being honest with you. Like that, all those messages, all these people that turned their backs on me, all these people that ran their mouth, I said, dude, I'm literally going to make it happen or I am going to die. And when I joined the third company, I remember it was 1,200 people in the whole company. And everybody told me not to do it. Like nobody except my parents basically gave me the blessing. And I said, I know this is it. I know this is going to work. I know the people I'm working with, like the guy that I like joined with, we had a friendship and he was a great guy. Jason Brown's his name. He got engaged last night. So shout out to him. And I knew that we could run this thing up. And I remember getting involved and I called my cousin Case in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I said, dude, you got to fly to Arizona. I'm getting out of my condo lease. I'm breaking up with the girl I'm living with. I'm giving my BMW back and we're going to go on tour and we're going to go to every big market, every big city, every big country. We're going to do events after events after events after events. We're going to build this thing and it's going to be amazing and we're going to get back on top. And if we don't, we're going to die doing it. And that was the decision that we made. And and then now this is where we are today. So that was a lot, but that's really the story of everything.
Dude, that was amazing. That was so, I asked you for a few lessons. You just started pounding them out. You learned so much from that. And thank you for sharing with everybody. It sounds to me like it was your mindset that got you out of it and obviously have helped you blow up to, insane levels today. So I'm curious, just to give some tactical advice to the audience, obviously the mindset is, we know how important it is. So what are 3 daily habits you would recommend somebody start to cultivate a better mindset? We know that could lead to better relationships, more money, more fulfillment. So what would you tell somebody to start doing every single day?
Yeah, number 1, I would say you got to start in gratitude. You have to start practicing gratitude more. And that's something that I actually, to be honest with you, really never did. Even though my mentor, Bob Proctor, for the last 10 years, he always talked about gratitude. But for some reason, I just never thought that was important. 2011, 2012, 2013. And I believe because I wasn't grateful, God just ripped it out of my hands. That's what I truly believe is what happened. So I would say wake up in the morning and think about 5 things you're grateful for. Maybe get a piece of paper and write down 10 things you're grateful for. Anybody you're having a problem with, you want to send them love. Like I can think of you and then think of a red beating heart and actually send you love spiritually. I know it sounds crazy, but once people understand the laws of the universe, it's not crazy at all. So love, gratitude, and being grateful in the morning. Number one. Number two, you got to work on yourself, right? Jim Rohn says it. If you want things to change, you've got to change. If you want things to get better, you've got to get better. If you want your car, if you want your relationships, if you want your health to get better, you've got to get better. It always comes down to you. So every day, I do 3 things for my personal development. I read, I listen, and I write. And that's tactical right there. Hey, what do I do? Okay, I got to read every day. I got to listen to a podcast, an audio book, a YouTube video every day, and I got to write my goals. I got to write my goals every day. And then the third thing I would do is I would actually get super clearly defined on what it is you desire, because you may want something different than me. I may want something different than her, right? Everybody has different goals and dreams in their life, but I would surround myself with the things I desire. Like the place I live in today in Miami, Porsche Design Tower, I had this pamphlet printed out on my counter in Arizona, because I came here to visit my cousins, and I'm like, yo, what's this tower? It looks like Batman. I loved Batman growing up. Like I used to I had a little like cape I would wear as a kid. My mom said, I have pictures of it. And I'm like, dude, I want to live there. Batman lives there. And then my cousin's like, yeah, man, but it's like $20,000 a month, like to live there. And I'm like, 20 grand. I'm like, what? But I'm like, okay, well, not today, obviously, but one day I'm going to do it. So I printed that thing out. So I tell people is print out the house you want to live in, print out the car you want to be driving. You whatever your mind accepts as truth. So you can write yourself $1 million check. And if you stare at it long enough, if you think about it long enough, you get emotionally involved with it strong enough, your mind will start to emit frequencies into the universe that will attract the people, situations, locations you need to bring you closer to your dreams and your goals. So getting more in touch with your spiritual side and gratitude in the morning, sending love to anybody you have a problem with, working on yourself every day, reading, writing, and listening, okay? And then getting your goals in front of you every day. So anytime I look anywhere, I see where I'm going. I tell people, if I walked into your apartment, would I see where you are today or where you're going tomorrow? The background of my cell phone has my goal, right? I got to be careful talking about income and stuff because of the nature of the world we're living in today. But the goals I achieved in 2020, income goals, I set those. I saw it in 2014. I saw blank a month by another gentleman, and I said, that's when I decided. So it didn't show up until 2020, but in 2014, I made the decision, that's where I'm going to go.
So you're big on manifesting. Obviously, you've manifested this life for yourself. I mean, this has been incredible. I love that everything that you just said is super tactical. So everybody listening, go back and watch this again because those last 5 minutes were amazing. I want to switch gears and just ask you a question about something recently, which is you go from traveling all around the world. I mean, I follow you on Instagram. I see you on a plane every day. And to go from that to being, stuck in Porsche Tower all day, what is that like to have such a different change in lifestyle so quickly?
Yeah. Well, if you're going to be stuck, this is a pretty solid place to be stuck.
For sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, it made me really think a little bit more because I've had some people in my life say, you know what, you might be more effective actually staying in one place for longer periods of time. But to me, I only knew what I knew, and that was these tours. Because I mean, number one, I always wanted to travel. And number two, I said, listen, I know if I can get in front of people, I'm gonna get them to believe in themselves enough. They're gonna go run through a brick wall because I've been doing that for 10 years. So I'm like, why would I change it up? Why would I change it up? Why would I change it up? But then I look back and I'm like, man, number one, that was crazy because I did that level of traveling. I mean, since 2012. I mean, literally since 2012.
Do you have any idea how many
miles? Nobody's flown more than me in our industry. Facts in the last 10 years. Maybe in the last couple of years, someone maybe passed me, and it's probably my business partners. But other than that, it's not even close. Okay. And I look back on that, and what happened is when you do that, like you wake up, like I remember like my team would be like, hey, Uber's picking us up at 7:30. You go to the airport, then you're flying to London, you're not sleeping much, and then you're doing 16 countries in 19 days and 16 events and 16 trainings and 16 dinners. I mean, it takes a toll on your body. It was fun, and honestly it helped build the brand, because now we've had so much content on YouTube and Instagram, and I built like my reputation via all of these events and stuff. And it's allowed me to network and get close with the people like Grant Cardone and Ty Lopez, and I met Gary Vee several times. I mean, all of that helped me get to where I am today. However, I went from like 100 to 0 because during Corona, right, we've been locked in, the homes and stuff. But interesting enough, we doubled our company during these quarantine months, and in fact, we're probably going to basically triple this thing in the next 60 days. So it showed me, oh my gosh, I can build this from a Zoom calls. I can talk to, because the difference is what if I do 8 calls a day with 1,000 people a day, 8,000 people from the comfort of my own house, sleeping on my own bed, eating the food I want to be eating, working out, going to the sauna, or travel, plane, hotel, crappy food, not working out, tired as heck, and I'm going to talk to 1,500 people at 7 p.m. Right? So effectiveness versus that, and when everything's done, am I going to still travel? Yes. Am I going to still tour? Yeah, I'll tour, but am I ever going to go back to 15 events and literally some of these Europe tours? And I can prove this stuff. I know, no joke, like 15 countries in like 16 days. I mean, honest to God, like do an event, do a dinner. It's 1 a.m., going to sleep at 1:30 in the morning, literally up at 4, all over again. And I look back on it sometimes and I'm like, dude, honestly, that was pretty stupid to be doing that. Like no one has a gun to my head to do this, but for some reason, and this is one of the things I think that really helped me, and I've never shared this before, but I actually will create stories in my mind. My cousin actually showed me this. He's like, dude, you understand, you actually like make things up and create stories in your mind to motivate you. Like you have to go out and like do these things to like battle this fake opponent. So like I will like do weird things to like motivate myself that like someone's like chasing me or someone's trying to kill me and I got to go do this to fight them. I mean, I'm a freak. I really am. Like I'm a nutcase, but it's worked. Like the results, like my mentor says, the results will always tell the truth. It kind of there. But yeah, I mean, this whole Corona thing showed me that digitally I can be way more effective than just flying around the world like a crazy person.
I mean, it goes to show, like, for the people watching, the work ethic that you have is obviously, part of your mindset and one of the reasons why you are where you are today. So for anybody watching, like, who has an excuse that they don't have enough time, this man went from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. every day in a new country. Don't make excuses. Like, that's the bottom line. So now that you've been home for a while, I see that you've been in a relationship, and I know for me, my fiance motivates me to go harder every day. It's incredible to, feed off that energy. So I'm wondering how important you think it is for your significant other to have the same level of, personal development or same mindset at least. I'm just curious of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a case by case basis. I know I manifested the woman I'm with for sure, because I like wrote down different qualities and characteristics I want in like a partner, and she's like got them all. We don't have to go too deep into those things, but the point is that I know for a fact, like we ran into each other at a nightclub at 1:30 in the morning. No social media, no Instagram stuff. Like it was like a genuine encounter. Like, hey, I'm Alex. Hey, I'm who I am, right? And then we built this thing, and now we're going on 8 months this month. it's important for your significant other to believe in your dreams and your passions, and also understand. She's a very understanding person. She knows that I work my ass off. So she understands like, hey, this is like, this is what he does. Like the big thing is the word is respect. Like she respects me. I respect her. Right. And she respects that, like what I've done. I don't want to say self-made. I don't think anybody's self-made, but the difference is like, I wasn't given something by like my parents or whatever, right? She's from like UAE. So she's from like that side of the world where there's a lot of wealth, and it's just a different world. So the fact that I'm quote unquote did it on my own with my own hands, it's a big deal. And she believes in where I want to go. And she knows that like what I'm doing, it's for us. Like it's for us, the future family, to make sure we can always take care of, her side and my side and together and, all that stuff. So yeah, you got to be with somebody, like when you're talking about dating, relationships, boyfriend, girlfriend stuff. Yeah. You got to be with somebody that understands where your goals are. Right. And you got to be on at least some page. I'm not saying if you want a Rolls Royce, she's going to want a Rolls Royce. That's not what I'm saying. But you got to be with somebody that understands the hustle and the grind, and that's okay with doing calls at midnight, or, hey, I got to stay in the house today and it's Saturday, and I got 8 back-to-back calls. She came on tour with me pre-corona. So she experienced like a pretty intense South America tour, like Peru, Ecuador, Colombia. She was like, dude, this is crazy. Like walking into rooms and there's 2,000 people and all that kind of stuff, and like the grind and the hustle that, what it takes. So I think you gotta be with somebody that understands where it is you're focused on, where you're going. You gotta be on some type of the same page. And, she speaks like 8 languages. So she's a super smart, way smarter than me. She's going to be an attorney. So I don't know. I think it's important to be with somebody that understands the hustle and the grind. Like if you're quote sleeping with the enemy, like if you're sleeping next to somebody every night that thinks what you're doing is stupid, yeah, it's probably not going to work out, right? So you got to be on. I look at Grant and Elena as a pretty good model, right? Like Grant's like, Elena in 20 years has never said you work too much. She's never said, hey, why are you coming home late from the office? Obviously what Grant does is different than what I do. But the point is you got to be with somebody that's going to motivate you, push you. And they always say that, what do they say? If you focus on a bunch of girls, right, you're never going to get to where you want to go. But if you focus on one woman that's going to help you, you can become super, super wealthy, right? Like Bill Gates said, going from a millionaire to a billionaire with the right woman, that she'll help you go from millionaire to billionaire. If it's the wrong woman, she'll make you go from millionaire to broke. So you gotta choose wisely for sure. And I went through it. I'm 30 years old now, so I'm at a point where it's like I know what's out there, and I know I've experienced enough to be like, when I met her, I was like, this is it. Like she's it, and that's that. And once I make a decision, that's it.
You know what happens. That's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. I got 2 more questions for you, but first, let's just tell people where they can find you if they want more. You put out such good content. I want everybody to follow you.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Our team created amgiveaway.com, and all it is, basically, I was going to come out with like programs, and I was going to sell program. Like my mentor actually said, you should you've done enough now to where you need to like make some programs, make some courses and stuff like that. So I was going to do this whole thing and have a coaching platform, all this different stuff. Cause I know I could because of my results. Like it wouldn't be difficult. Right. But then I just came to me and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do everything I want to do, but it's all going to be for free. So I created amgiveaway.com. And basically last night was our call. Actually, I gave away 3 iPads, 2 iPhones, and a MacBook Pro. So every month I'm just giving things away to help people grow and scale their home-based businesses. And the emails you were talking about, we send out 3 emails a week where we really dive deep into a topic. Again, it's all free. So amgiveaway.com.
I'll put it on the screen.
And then Instagram is Alex Morton Mindset. YouTube is Alex Morton Mindset. And those are the Instagram and YouTube are probably our biggest channels where we're giving as much value and content as we can. And then amgiveaway.com is a way for me to build my inner circle. I think we're up to like 55,000 people on that list. And those 55,000 people receive special videos and emails and content that other people don't receive. So amgiveaway.com and then Instagram and YouTube.
Awesome. And I'll put those on the screen for everybody watching. So definitely follow Alex, definitely get on this email list. I'm telling you, this email list is amazing. So speaking of content, I follow you. I've gotten so much out of your content, and honestly, consuming personal development content has changed my life. The first podcast I ever watched was with Ed Milet and had no clue who he was. Literally every day since that podcast, I have watched the podcast. My life's changed. I've lost almost 100 pounds. Like my business has grown completely. So I am a testament to rewiring your brain works. So I'm curious, aside from you, who are 3 people you would recommend that people follow and consume their content on a daily basis to help their mindset?
Yeah. So number 1 is Bob Proctor, without a doubt. He's my personal mentor and coach, and he is, in my opinion, the best of the best. You understand what he's talking about and what he teaches. Your life is changing. I am a perfect testament to that. There's lots of testimonials with Bob, but I believe Bob is the number 1 personal development coach and mentor. And I don't even think it's debatable, to be honest. I've had people try to debate. And Tony Robbins is amazing. He's probably the most famous person. But in terms of Bob's a teacher. So Bob is going to educate you on how to legitimately get whatever you want. And to me, that's it. That's all people want. So number 1, Bob Proctor. Number 2, I got to say Grant Cardone. He's become a friend now. He's also a mentor. We do some stuff. We've done 2 different businesses together. One's real estate, one's a medical company. And Grant is incredible. I know he's a controversial person. Some of my best friends hate his guts, and I don't. I think he's got some great information. He's a little bit aggressive, but hey, man, I'm aggressive too. So I really resonate with Grant. And after Bob and Grant, I mean, I guess I could say Tony Robbins, because Tony Robbins is Tony Robbins, but I would just say get into some of these old scriptures of success philosophy. Think and Grow Rich. The Zig Ziglar stuff on YouTube is great. And I would also say Ed Milet. I got to say Ed Milet. We've been conversing a little bit now back and forth on Instagram direct messages. He's in the same space I am, and he's probably made the most money in our space, like 400 million, something crazy, man. And I relate a lot to Ed too, because Ed's also a pretty aggressive person too. So I think, Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, and then some Ed Milet in there, and you're gonna be on your way, no doubt.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, and sorry if they're doing construction on my condo building, so sorry if you hear that. But I got one last question for you. Let's say that you run into a fan at a coffee shop and they just ask you for just a couple minutes of advice. They're feeling stuck. Maybe they don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe they just feel hopeless or don't know what to do. I know that your Instagram profile says you're a momentum creator. I'm curious what you would tell that person in a couple minutes to create momentum in their life.
I would tell them just to start, do more, and speed up and keep going. I would tell people, listen, everything you see on social media, I'm not going to say it's fake, but it's falsified, because you don't see where these people began. All you see is these freaking Lamborghinis and jets and all this Rolls Royces and penthouses and stuff. You didn't see these people when they were in the closet struggling. You know what I'm saying? Don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 10, and can continually get better every single day. The only person you should be competing with is the person you were yesterday. Stop competing with somebody next to you. Stop competing with somebody you see on Instagram. Compete with you yesterday and continually work to get better and better and better and better and better every single day, and keep the faith and keep the belief, and great things are going to happen. That's what I would say.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Alex. Seriously, I really appreciate your time, man. I loved this. Everybody follow Alex. Go to amgiveaway.com. Follow Alex Morton Mindset on Instagram, YouTube. Alex, thank you so much. I look forward to meeting you in person one day, and I appreciate you, man.
You got it, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.